Hello everyone, welcome to the Commando Cast. I'm Andrew. And today we're going to talk about the LVO. Mike had a great performance this weekend, so we're talking about LVO, his performance, his deck, and everything else involved with that.
Well, hey guys, welcome back. Thanks for joining us. We're just playing a little bit. So I just got back from LVO and
your embarrassing performance.
And my embarrassing performance on stream. Yes, I got monkey stomped on live TV, which is fantastic. But I had a great time, and I wanted to talk about the event a little bit and give some credit where it's due, and talk about my deck and kind of our building process, because Andrew had a lot to do with some deck choices towards the end and kind of how it went and stuff, and so I thought that'd be a fun topic today.
Yeah, cool.
See if you agree.
I mean, I think LVO is definitely hot and bothered on everybody's mind right now, right? So, first, why don't you just run us through just kind of the event itself? I know that a lot of our viewers did go, and it was great to see pictures of you with them. But there's other people who didn't go. So
first thing, it was at LVO, which if you've never been to, is at Bali's, and we are the tiniest little fish in a great big fishbowl at that place. Like there are two giant ballrooms. We were in the smaller of the two, and we were just one table, like one row of tables all the way down.
Las Vegas Open is a convention in of itself.
Correct. It's tabletop gaming and mostly miniature based from what I was looking around. There was actually even X-Wing, which is that's our overlords, right? X-Wing, and they only had two table rows to our one table row. The rest of it was all Warhammer and Blood Bowl and Malifaux and like all of these. I heard there's people playing Legion, although I didn't get a chance to see.
I was able to see. I actually watched a YouTube live stream of a Legion. Well, I watched about 5 minutes because those games take like forever. And you can sit there and be like, "Oh, is he going to move his Rebel Trooper?"
Right? Yeah.
But yeah, it was there.
Yeah. So it was this just massive place, and it was handled pretty well. We were a little Spartan on some things we're used to, like we didn't have a printer. So we used some tabletop.io, I think is the
just
program.
An app for reporting.
Yeah, we weren't allowed to report, but we were allowed to look at our pairings and what table we were at.
Oh, I see.
And then you could look at the ladder, like for after the rounds of Swiss, and then basically after you got done with your game, you went judge, and Nick came over and he entered the result. So.
That's a lot of work.
It was a lot of work. And then when it went to the cut on Sunday, we put it in. Is it Challenge? I can never remember the name of that. It's this app, challenge.com, and it does brackets. So it sets the bracket.
The one with the gray and yellow.
Yeah. And that one's really cool because beforehand you can actually choose like a fantasy, like you pick your bracket like March Madness kind of bracket pick. So we switched that, and technically it was fine. There was no issues with the technology, which is always the big fear, right? That you're going to get into like they had in Atlanta where they were trying to use a program that just completely crashed and they had to cancel the whole thing. So nothing like that. It was handled really well. Nick did in what it looked to me like the vast majority of the heavy lifting of the actual.
So it was Artificery that they were. How did this? Because if it was at a convention, was Artificery working at it? Like, how did it work?
I saw. I honestly don't know. They were handling all of the product, like the covert missions product and stuff. And then when you went in to register for the event itself, they were sitting there. But as far as when the day to day, like all around the Swiss, it was Nick Nelson the whole time. Like he did everything. Like as far as I could tell. I mean, I'm sure there was a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes in the organization of putting it together that they did. But with the actual, like the round to round, it looked like that Nick was doing a fantastic job at it. And
well, I mean, he usually does, right?
That's like the second time I've got a chance to really. I worked with him and then worked at I guess we did a GQ with him one time.
Well, and the PDX Primes, right?
Yeah.
He flies in for those, and
so it was really cool. Like it was handled really well. The player, like the competition, I thought was really fierce. Like there was. We did have some East Coast representation, Midwest representation. The Golden Dice guys came in, and and a lot of West Coast, really good West Coast base players. Agent of Zion brought like the absolute trolliest deck and took it to top 4 with Dryden Voss and Arinda Price, which I thought was delicious. Like, and if I had the misfortune of playing him that day, he would have massacred me. Right. First off, 0 reps. Like, how do you even prep for something like that on a deck that runs 0 removal cards?
It was armor plating.
And 2 right shields, right? I think is what it runs in the whole deck for removal. But you can't prepare for that. When I was watching him play, I'm reminded of, if you've ever played Madden before, like the football game Madden. Have you ever played against someone who doesn't play by football rules? Like they go for it every 4th down and they just run backwards and then throw. Like they're not playing real football; they're playing a video game.
Isn't that an old Tecmo Bowl trick? You just run back to the
Seriously, Zion was playing a different game than Destiny, and it was beautiful to behold. Like it was kind of sick watching him like turn 1. Just these giant supports like the Super Siege Cannon, resolving it for like 12 damage in the 3rd round, and I mean it was pretty cool.
Yeah. So one of the games, I watched the Destiny Council stream on both Friday and Sunday, and he was on stream and he topped, I think, opening round of the second game of his top 4 match where he got eliminated versus Henry. He flipped a planetary.
Just turn 1 planetary.
Yeah. It's like, okay.
Yeah. That's pretty disgusting. I watched the end of one of his games where he rolled out just straight 10 melee damage. Like just rolled 4 dice.
Oh, you mean the 2 3s on Voss and the 2 2s? Or no, because Arinda was only...
I think he had a Dark Saber.
Okay.
It was just like... And there was... It's just game. Like there's not a whole lot of cards being run right now that take care of that.
Yeah, get your crosshairs ready.
Right, get your crosshairs, which I wasn't packing crosshairs, believe it or not. So, a lot of cool decks. I applaud anyone that's willing to experiment with something like that in that sort of environment and obviously, after seeing that, he's got to be considered one of the best players in the world. Like, I mean,
wasn't he already?
I mean, if you had any doubt in your mind beforehand, like he's really good. Yeah. Anyway, so. But yeah, it was a really good tournament. I started off like I crapped the bed like immediately. I won my first game, so started off 1-0, and I was like, okay, I did what I was supposed to do. And then I ran into Corwin Sanchez from Roll On, the podcast, and he was running 5-die chopper, and he rompa-stomped me. That's
a tough matchup for you.
It was pretty bad. So, and I was like, well, okay, that's no big 1-1. And then I ran in my 3rd round match. It made me think of you because I ran into it was Jango Fett and Maul with lightsaber mastery.
Oh yeah, really?
And I kind of chuckled a little bit to myself because I don't think that deck's very good.
We've play tested.
Yeah, we've play tested. I don't think it's very good. His version was real good. He killed me. He actually got off lightsaber mastery for 5. Because he had 4 upgrades. He did lightsaber mastery on Jango before I killed him, and then he finished me off with a draw closer. The other card underneath was a draw closer. So I went for Jango first. He ended up getting a Neiman mastery on Jango Maul.
So fatal blow and draw closer
were the 2 cards underneath. And it's Swiss. I don't know. Right, I had no idea what it was. I assumed one was a fatal blow. I didn't know what the other one was.
Pushing slash is common, right?
But he straight up. I mean, he dropped me from. He's got a 3-for-1.
2 and a 3-for-1.
Yeah, so I mean he hit me pretty hard for a lot of damage. And you can do what got me was it because that card lets you do any die, any melee die, right? So it wasn't even his character die.
Like an heirloom redeploy or something. Like that.
It was pretty bad. So I was really kind of down in the dumps after the game. I'm like, wow, that's it.
Well, I mean, when you texted me, so Mike was texting me updates, right? Texting his game wife with updates,
yeah, right.
And he said he was down 2, and then. Just kind of thought like it was about time to go to our Saturday local, so I went to Saturday local, and then like Story was all plugged in. He was giving us updates. He's like, Mike's down.
Right, that's pretty funny.
So that was pretty awesome. And then you didn't lose a game after
Yeah,
that?
I submarined. I did the classic, submarine, the Ed Chen action where I just went and played when you go 1 and 2, your fourth game generally is against kind of a weird deck.
What was your fourth game?
My fourth game was against Django and Bad Palp Order 66.
Oh, but you've played against that too, because that's Chris's deck.
Right. Yeah. And that poor guy didn't pull an Order 66 in his first 10 cards. And I just destroyed it. Like that was a pretty.
That's still a bad matchup for him anyway.
Yeah,
because you can put a lot of damage into Pal pretty quick.
Right, and it's kind of the same issue that Ewoks have with me with the deck I'm running. By the way, which is Snoke, Mud Trooper, Mandalorian, Super Commando.
We will get to the list in a second.
Yeah, I don't. If I'm running against a deck that I think is trying to remove multiple dice, I just don't roll. I don't roll multiple dice. Right. I mean, it's a hard slog either way for a person who's trying to Order 66 me. He was running lore, but I counterintelligence like immediately, right, and took care of it. And I probed. I mean, it was just probe and counterintelligence for the MVPs all day long. So that was like my fourth round game, and that kind of got me back to 2 and 2. And at that point, it was pretty simple. It was win 3 games or be done.
So it was 7 rounds.
It was 7 rounds, yeah. So I thought, well, maybe I'll get a couple easier matches, and I didn't. I got Raylo, Ewoks, Raylo, or no, I'm sorry, I got Vader, Ewoks, Raylo were my
Vader what? Vader Greedo?
Vader Greedo, yeah. Or no, yes, Vader Greedo. That's right, was Vader Greedo. So Vader Greedo was my win-in match was round 7 was Vader Greedo. So
Raylo was 5.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And then what was your round 1?
Raylo. I played a buttload of Raylo.
Well, there was a lot of Raylo.
And I didn't lose a single. I lost one game, I think, in the cut to Raylo, but all day long I did work on Raylo. How many games against Raylo have I played in the last month?
At least 1 or 2.
Yeah. Dozens of games.
Sorry, so it was Raylo, 5-die droids, Django Maul LSM, Django Palp Order 66, Raylo Ewoks, and was it Ewoks or Plowoks?
That one was Plowoks with Bitter Rivalry. There was 2 versions of Plowoks running around, one with and one without Bitter Rivalry.
All right, so Plowoks BR.
Yeah,
and then Vader Greedo.
In the Bitter Rivalry version runs an extra trooper. I think is the how that one works. Yeah.
It's 2 direct damage, which I think really helps it out. I think in the Ewoks match, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was kind of so the one I was most scared of Mill, and I didn't see Mill all day, not one time. And there were several Mill players. There were Mill's players in the cut. Didn't play a single Mill player. I was worried about droids. Because everyone should be worried about droids, and I only played 1 in Swiss, so I got very lucky. Because if I had got 2 losses,
well, it's probably because you got bumped down,
right? True, right? Yeah, because they were all like winning their games. Yeah, someone had posted a stat that there were 5 droid. There were 5 die droid players, or no, 5 droid players, and 4 of them made top cut.
It was only 5 droid players.
Yeah, I think
in your day.
I think so.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah,
that's surprisingly small.
Yeah,
but there was a ton of Ewoks, and there was a ton of Raylo.
Yeah, there was a lot of Ewoks. Ewoks is actually I don't know if you guys know me, but I hate Ewoks. Like I
hate Ewoks.
I haven't been like I don't mean to gatekeep. Sorry, R2 Deacon, I don't mean to gatekeep on you, but like I don't like Ewoks. I don't think it's Destiny. It's something else. It is a game you're playing. So I had the privilege of being able to play test against Derek for months now on Ewoks, and everyone else in our local that likes to run Ewoks. So I've aside from Raylo, the most thing I've had the most reps on has been Ewoks, and I was so satisfied all day when I didn't lose a game to Ewoks. And I don't know if you ever played against an Ewok player, but they all start the match with a grin on their face, right? Because their strength is the beginning of the game, right? When they're rolling in and they're doing their 12 damage and then it goes down to 7 damage and it goes down to 4 damage and 2. So there's a lot of satisfaction in wiping that grin off their face like as early as possible in the match. And that happened multiple times where I got to sit down like against that Plowok match that I had in the top to get to the cut, and that I think it was round 6. He started off with the card that lets you activate all of your non-unique characters.
Deployment or squad tactics?
Whatever one's legal. I think one of them's legal, one of them's not, right? I think
they're both legal.
Oh, okay. Well, he activated everybody. So it was Plo Koon, right, for 5 or whatever,
Well, Chirpa's not.
Well, he hit me for 2 Ewoks and two troopers, I think, after because
because deployment costs 1, so it was probably squad tactics.
Yeah. So he did just a grip of damage like right off the bat. But it
doesn't kill anybody.
No, it doesn't kill anybody, and I was able to counter intel, right, and take the strength of numbers and put it on top of the deck. So yeah, it must have been squad tactics. So I was able to kind of like weather it. And then
I see. So he was trying to get out fast before you drop somebody for the strength of numbers.
Correct. Yeah.
Because I was trying to figure out why you would do that opening round if it's not going to get you a kill.
Yeah. I can only assume he's like that. Maybe just he just likes blitz. Like it's a Ewok player. They like blitz.
Well, I mean, plus if you get it in your opening hand, it's you still need to dig. So I suppose that's fair.
Yeah, and it's stronger at the beginning of the game than it is at the end of the game.
Well, and I just mean you don't want to. You just may as well play it. So
right. But when you're playing a deck that removes your opponent's removal. And then you get to 2 damage, and then you snook it for 4, and you kill an Ewok like one shot. Like it's.
Although this guy only had 1 Ewok, so.
Yes. Right. No, 2 Ewoks.
2 Ewoks.
2 Ewoks on that one. Yeah, because Chirpa gets you 1. So that was some of my favorite Destiny.
Plus, no, you only have 1 Ewok because it's 11. So Plo's 11, and then Chirpa's 10, and he brings 1 Ewok to the table, and then it's 5 plus 5 minus 1. So it's only 1 Ewok.
Chirpa's a single die 10? Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, he squad tactics me. Of course, that way you do 4 direct damage and 1 indirect damage? Is that how that works? 2 indirect.
2 indirect. Well,
one for Plo.
Plo, yeah.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, I kicked the crap out of Ewok players all weekend, and it was pretty satisfying.
That's good. Yeah, that deck needs to... I don't know. That deck's... It's not going anywhere.
No, yeah, it's not rotating out, kids. Get used to it. It's not unfair. It's not unfair. It doesn't do anything I think that's necessarily unfair. It just isn't very fun, and it's not very strategic. So if people start running decks that just take all your cards out of your hand, I'm hoping the Ewok players are like, well, I don't want to play that anymore because everyone just takes the cards out of my hand. Because the deck doesn't do much without its cards.
Well, yeah, but if that's kind of been its problem. Anyway, we shouldn't make this an Ewoks cast because we want to talk about LVO, but it destroys Mill,
right?
And Mill takes cards. So
sure.
Anyway, so let's go into day 2.
Right. So day 2 is
top 32 cut, right?
Top 32. Interesting night before Saturday night after day 2 was the cut. So immediately after we got done, Gandork posted all of the deck lists for everyone in the top 32. And then also all of our pairings. So we actually had like a full night to study our first round opponent's deck list. So I immediately saw that I had a Plowok player round 1, and who I was matched up against. So I look at his deck and I look it over, and then I go to dinner, and then as I'm laying there, as I'm getting ready to go to bed at like 9, I think it was like 10 o'clock or so. I was trying to get a good night's sleep. I looked at his deck list again. I went through it, and I noticed that he had a card in there that was strength through weakness on his deck list. And I'm like, that's odd. What a weird meta deck choice in an Ewok deck. And then I looked down, and he had a second one on his deck list. And I'm like, why would you run 2-3 cost strength and strength through weakness? And then I was like, I wonder if he meant strength in numbers, which he did not put on his electronic deck list. But the way you submitted your deck list to LVO was very janky. Like you would start typing the card, and it would kind of autofill, and you had to click on the right card in the list. So strength through weakness, strength in numbers. Mm-hmm. If you type in strength and just click the top one, I didn't look at it exactly, but he obviously clicked the wrong card in his deck list. Mm-hmm. So
easy mistake.
But I wasn't sure what that meant for.
Oh, I see.
Like, because they're going to deck check in the morning. That was the email, the deck check in the morning. But when you submitted your deck list, not only did you submit it through the website, like through the LVO form, but you put a link to the DB to it. So in the DB link, his deck list was correct.
Oh, okay.
So it was an easy fix.
That's good.
Right? Like, hey, I made a mistake.
That would have felt bad.
Right, and obviously he meant strength.
Right.
strength of numbers. So I thought that was going to put me in a weird spot where if this guy, sits down with me in his deck list, and I'm looking at his deck list, and I'm like, of course, we all got deck checks, so I don't know what that would have even done at the time. But he caught it in the night before, and I assume reported it to Gandork, and Gandork, I assume, looked at the list that he submitted on the DB, and they fixed it. So that was a disaster averted. One of the things that did happen that didn't get averted, though, is one of the players who made top 32 was running an illegal deck, and he was running Order 66 and Feed, which by the way is why our restricted list is dumb, because it's just too cumbersome to keep track of.
Yep.
I honestly didn't. I mean,
well, obviously he played people all day with it.
Right. I didn't know. If he had played me, I don't think I would have caught it. And I'm pretty plugged into this game. So the player caught it himself. One of his buddies that night was like, they were practicing. He's like, you can't do that. And he's like, what? And they looked it up. So he reported himself to Gandork and dropped out of the top 32, which was interesting because Nick had like a choice to make. It was either give someone a bye or bring in another player who didn't make it because this person had a legal deck. And that was the choice he made, which I agree with. I think more people playing Destiny is better. So he brought in the 33rd person, which happened to be Henry, into the top 32, and then he redid the pairings based on the new.
And what time did that
seeding.
happen at?
I think it happened I think it happened sometime in the night after I went to bed, but before the morning.
Okay, so the majority of the people caught it, or would have been aware of it.
I think so. I think
those of us who aren't old men going to bed at 10 o'clock.
In Vegas, right? Yeah. Right. I think it was the best possible choice. Like, I mean, is there a perfect choice? No, but was it the best possible choice? Yes. But there were some hurt feelings.
Well, of course.
Because a lot of people studied their opponent's deck list and then went to play craps. Right?
Yeah, and see, this is why I think Gandork does a good job, is because he does what he thinks is right and just sticks with it.
Right.
Which I respect that. If it was me, I probably would have just DQ'd and gone with the top 32, especially because it was a different day.
Right.
I probably would have done that, because then, like, let's say my fear would be, what happens if 33 went home? Do you give it to 34?
Correct.
Right. So like that's like a Pandora's box that if I was doing it, I wouldn't. But I like that he just made the call and stuck with it. I mean, it's the right thing to do. Like, I think it was fine. I think it's the right thing to do.
And I like the more. I have not always enjoyed best of 3 games. I mean, they're long. They can be very long, but I really do think it, especially when you know your opponent's deck list, it really is the truest expression of skill that we get, is when I know what you're running, and we're gonna go. And if you blow me out because it's crazy luck game 1, I'm gonna have 2 more shots to take them out. And I really do think it's a good thing. I don't think we needed more than 32 because the tournament wasn't huge. It was like 120-ish, I think, if I remember right. But so like a quarter of the field made the cut. A little more than a quarter of the field made the cut, I think. And I think that's a good number. I think he handled it well. It just it jumbled some people up. And like, for instance, one player had a Raylo mirror matchup that got. After and he was in Raylo, so he Raylo mirror matchup, and then it got jumbled up, and he ended up going into Jeff's his Shadowcaster reset, right? Which is
that feels bad,
right? Yeah, I mean, I can see
that feels real bad.
Yeah, I can see where that would be disappointing, right?
Especially in the player that you're talking about had gotten his butt kicked by that in previous metas over and over, so it was a psychological problem too. Right?
So, and I kind of get. I'm with you though, like. I don't envy having to make that decision. I would love to think that everything's just going to go perfect, but what makes you a good tournament organizer and a good leader is when you're able to go, this is the situation, here is the best way I can think of through it, here's the plan, and we're going to execute it and just go with it. Yeah. And, and that's what happened.
Don't warble on feedback, because when there's blood in the water, sharks attack. Right.
And then it's just a big cancel fest. Right.
Yeah. And it doesn't mean, like, we've all been there. Like, it doesn't mean you don't wake up the next morning and you're like, yeah, maybe I should have made a different decision. But you have to make a decision.
Yeah. At the time, I think I do agree with the call. And luckily, Ingrid, Henry's wife, was already in the top 32. So he definitely was going to be there. Nice. Husband and wife, top 32. Actually, there was a scenario where it would have been husband and wife final. Ingrid and I played in top 8. And I have never beat her. That's the first time I've ever beat her in any meaningful competition. She's taken me out in at least one store championship and 2 primes.
Was she on Vader?
She was on Maul.
She's on Maul Mando?
Maul Watto.
Oh, gambler.
Yeah, Maul Watto. And it was pretty disgusting.
So your top 32 match. Let's go into your close out day 2, and then we'll go into deck list.
Yeah.
And,
so I opened up with Plowalks. Or no, I'm sorry. I opened up with Raylo because I got moved off the Plowalks. Ended up with Raylo.
You're pretty well positioned.
Yeah, I handled Raylo pretty obviously easily, but I handled Raylo. And then I had my second round matchup, my 32-16 at that point, was Andreas, which I've never played before. And he's a very good player, Hyperlooper, and a Cloud City Roller.
Ace you're talking about?
Ace, yeah. So we played, and we actually talked before the match. It's interesting when you know each other's decks because you could talk about it like beforehand. Like, oh, I noticed you're running, this, and I asked him about you running that, and we sat down and we played a really good 2 games. And I got
he was on what?
He was on Raylo. Which it was interesting. I kind of assumed he would be on droids. Yeah, but he was on Raylo, and I just kind of. He told me like after the second match that I just killed him with counterintelligence. I just ended his games with counterintelligence. Like when in testing, when I lost games playing Snow Commando Mud Trooper is when they got off a turn 1 or a card 1.
Polarity.
No, the one that moves damage.
Steadfast.
Steadfast, yeah. So because basically erases one of my it undoes one of my Snoke power action, right?
I see. So
I mulliganed hard both games for counterintelligence round 1, and I just took it both times and put it. One time I put it on top of the deck. Second time I probed into his hand, even though he had 4 cards, because I thought I would get a card right with it. I ended up hitting I actually hit the Steadfast and a Saber, but I hit it right. I got it out of there, and that really changes the makeup of that game because the deck doesn't run a lot of removal. It takes shields and it Steadfast lets it move its damage around. So. After we were done, we were reporting, and Nick comes by and he's like, "What I said, "I won," and he goes, "What was that? Was it 2-1, 2-0?" And I said it was 2-1, and Ace goes, "No, it was 2-0." And I'm like, I looked at him like, "What?" I don't even know, because he was murdering me at the beginning of game 2. Like he had a huge lead on me in damage, and I came back and won the game at the end, but
we saw that many times. I mean, you and I played a lot of the Raylo matches, and like I would always put down somebody,
right, Mud Trooper,
and I'd be ahead. But then all of a sudden there's 2 Fickles and 2 Conscripts out there, and it's rough.
So the discussion we had pregame was he's like, I noticed you're running too many cards, but 1 Mega Blaster, and I said Mega Blaster's been letting me down all weekend. I think I screwed up my deck a little bit, and we'll get into that. But I hadn't played Mega Blaster yet. I think I played it in 1 game of Swiss. Hadn't played it in the top cut at all. In both games I played with him, I was able to successfully play the 1 Mega Blaster.
So little head fake gamesmanship there. Before
seriously, I was like, well, I've never played. And after we're done, I'm like, dude, that is the first time that's happened, and and that's just like you said, you get outdiced with that real hard. So that was my round of 16.
So 8.
Yeah, 8 was. 8 was against Ingrid, and she was on Maul Watto, and that was kind of
that should be a good match.
Yeah, that was a hard match for her. I'm just able to focus down Maul so hard, and she was playing the card that damages you when you remove dice.
Retribution.
Yeah, my brain. She's playing Retribution. So, both games we played, she got round 1. She got round 1 Maul Saber in the first game, round 1 Vader Saber in the second game. Watto was just doing Watto just makes so much money. It's incredible. So she was able to get that in both times, And then, but all my removal then, which I don't run a ton, but all my removal was then focused on just taking care of the saber. And then she just crapped out on her dice. Like she did the like, oh, I'm gonna roll, and it's a blank, and then I'm gonna reroll 2 shields on the Vader saber.
Oh.
You know, like it's a tough matchup anyway for her because I can do 13 damage pretty easily. But when you're also then you're not rolling like average rolls, which she was not anywhere near average rolls. So that was not a good match for her. But she's a great opponent, and like I said, that was the first time I ever beat her in anything meaningful. So I was like, right.
I like Ingrid. She's very nice.
Yes, Cheshire, I love you. So that was the top, and then so when I got to top 4, and by the way, I was thinking the whole time like I'm not really supposed to be here. Like I was 1 and 2. After the first round that I won on the Raylo, I was like, okay, like sweet. You know, I was like, my whole point of going was just to make the cut. That's all I wanted to do. So when I made cut, I was pretty relaxed after that. And then I kind of kept winning. And at that point, when I won the round of 8, I went to 4, and they were like, oh, you got a ticket to Worlds. Or an invite. So you got to pay fine. And that was one of my like, oh,
you got a slot.
Yeah, I got a slot. So
to go to Worlds.
Yeah, I was pretty stoked to go into round 4, and I sat across from my good buddy Plowalks. And it happened to be the same guy who I was supposed to play in the first round.
Oh, that's funny.
The previous, the one who had the quasi-illegal deck. It wasn't illegal, but anyway. So we sat down, and I'm not trying to talk junk here. It's just funny. So we roll off, and obviously I win the roll off, right? Because I got 2 dice. We roll off, and he just immediately starts to put his battlefield away. And he's like, oh, I guess we'll be taking your battlefield, right? And I've played so many Ewoks, right? So many Ewoks. And I'm like, no, I think we'll play on your battlefield. Yeah. And there was seriously a look of confusion. Like it was like, what? Like, yeah. And I told him, I said, you're going to switch the battlefield anyway? And
that's surprising that he's surprised by that. That's a pretty common move, I thought.
Yeah, I don't know. I was like, you're going to switch it anyway? I'd rather have the 2 health. Right? I mean, that's kind of the...
Was he on... Which battlefield was he on?
He was on Genos, the one where you take an indirect and do it into unblockable.
He was. Because can't you play Arena... with Plowalks, can't you play Arena of Death? Because isn't it the Ewok that is...
In his version, I'm trying to remember.
Oh, actually, that was your original guy. Yeah. That was... So this was the non-bitter rivalry version.
Correct.
So then, yes, he has to play... what is it? Narshada?
Yeah. Is it Arena? It's not Arena of Death. That's the other one.
It's Pentranaki Arena. Is the one that... Yeah.
Okay. So...
But they're both arenas.
I take his battlefield.
I might have them switched. Sorry.
I take the 2 shields, and then I just
did your thing.
Go to work. Like, I mean, it was just one of those things where in both of those games, I was able to take out an Ewok before he got a chance to activate, which is like if you do that, in my experience, you win most of those games. If I don't know why it's just that 1 damage, and my deck makes it really hard for him to play Diplomatic Protection. Because I don't do I don't do a couple damage and then hit that guy. I just do 4 damage and kill you. I would always head fig him with I would do the power action on the Mando, put a damage on the Hoth Trooper, and then he would drop a diplomatic protection, and I just kill somebody else.
Oh, just misdirect.
Yeah, like I mean, it was just I eventually had to deal with it, right? I mean, obviously, and that last game that was really interesting because I rolled out lethal, and he played Blaze of Glory.
Okay.
On and it sucked because he needed he's down to 1 character. He's down to Plo Koon. So he Blaze of Glory's Plo Koon.
Blaze of Glory is an activate. So
correct.
That's important.
Yeah. So he rolls it in. He takes out, and he was at 5 damage. He was at lethal. So his only thing he could do was to take 4 of the damage to put him at 9. And that was his only out, was that I missed the battlefield win, the claim, and I just claimed it and killed him for the 10. I mean, it was just, right. I rolled bonker. I just like, whoa, 6 damage on 3 dice with 2. And he's like, like, what are you going to do? So that was the Plowalks. And then Henry was the final. And that was
a bad matchup for you.
Yeah.
everybody on the and I do want to give a shout out Destiny Council. Thank you guys for letting us stream. Apparently ABG was streaming on
they were doing
Friday
like a commentary.
Saturday.
Yeah, they were doing a commentary when they were not.
I missed that, honestly. I didn't realize that until I heard Sunday. I was just watching Destiny Council on Friday. And
they did a good job because Drew from ABG I think only did it when Destiny Council wasn't providing their own commentary. So when they were just
so he was just doing it over top of Destiny's stream.
Yeah, so he asked them, "Hey, can I hijack your stream and do commentary?"
So it was just the Destiny Council stream.
Correct. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then when
that
the
makes sense,
Destiny Council, I think in the cut, they were doing their own commentary. So he was like, oh, "Okay, you guys do your own."
I see.
I didn't get a chance to see any of it, because I was busy
swamping Ewoks,
killing people. Yeah. But I heard it was pretty well done.
All right. Well, so since people want to know, would you mind reaching out, flipping that up, and let's go through your deck here real quick?
Here we go.
All right. So I'll let you take it away.
Yeah. So this is just this deck could be a lot better. I'm just going to say that right now. You want to know how you get your deck good? Take it to a tournament and play 18 games of Destiny over 2 days against the best players on the West Coast and some of the world, and you will figure out what you did right and what you did wrong. So it's Snoke, Mandalorian, Super Commando, Mud Trooper. Snoke is elite. I was running Theed. That was probably my first error of the day. I think I would have had more use out of Salt Flats. Most of my opponents, except for Henry, killed my mooks first, and then I was able to finish them off with Snoke's focus. And so I think Salt Flats would have been more valuable. I was slow, so if I won the battlefield and I took it, it only was worth one resource the entire game, and that's if I gave up a die. So sometimes,
but most of the time you're giving up a conscript, and then putting in a fickle.
Right. So it was good. I think it could have been better had I built my deck a little bit more around it, but I think Salt Flats may have been the right call in hindsight. So my upgrade package was pretty slim. I was trying to run this is a very low to the ground version, so it's running 2 A300s because it has 3 gun sides and it has a redeploy.
That's a good gun.
2 Bounty Hunter Mass just because Mud Trooper loves to power action for damage. It also gives you an extra health, which is super, super good. A single DX2 Disruptor blaster pistol. Yeah, that again, all day long, all I wanted was a second one of those all day long. I was running a single energy bow, and the reason why I ended up having an energy bow. So if I don't know if you'll have the list up, but there's three 1-drop weapons in there, and it's energy bow, van braces, and DX2. I originally had 2 of each.
One of, not 1 drop.
Yeah, one. Yeah, sorry, 1 of each. Sorry, and then what I basically didn't have in what I took 1 out of each to run a single Mega Blaster Trooper, a Truce, and a Well Connected. And that was the biggest. I made that change pretty late in the week, and I don't know if I would do it again. When I was really taking people's souls, it was because I was just so low. Like I would just, like you said, I would just kill you with dice. Like it was just like little guns all over the place and little things. And I was running 2 riot shields because it's amazing. Right, you're on 2 troopers. One of them does a damage, and I was not running hand cannon. If you notice, I took that out about 2.5 weeks ago because it makes for some awkward commando plays, right, where you want to play something if you had put that on there. And then I was running a single mind extraction, which got prominently featured in my final match. Oh my god, twice
on 3PO.
Now, I didn't mind playing Mind Extraction at all on anybody because I didn't necessarily need money for removal. Mm-hmm. So the 2 times that I played it in the final, one of the times I had no upgrades with dice. And then the other time I think I had a 1 cost, and I was able to get it. Like I was able to get the dollar to play the upgrade. I think it was a conscript to play it out anyway. So I ran that for the Palp matchup, which again I did not see all day. So that's another one I didn't see. Didn't see Mill, didn't see Palp. And then the support package was the standard 2 conscript squads, 2 fickle mercenaries, Andrew's favorite card, and 1 Mega Blaster Trooper. Fickles still confound people. It's crazy to me how disruptive to your game plan fickle mercenaries are. I lost bad twice during the tournament. to Corwin on 5-die droids and to Henry, right, in the final, both of them were better at Fickle than I was. Like at saving their money to buy it, to buy it at the right time.
Well, and those guys can make the money back.
Correct. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I don't.
I mean, that supplement when you have 5 resources. Doesn't mean you have a better Fickle.
Right. Yeah. That was, I would say, after having a few nights sleep and really analyzing what happened that day, it was that matchup because the droids are able to do a buttload of damage and take resources. Right, they ramp and do damage. It's the craziest deck. That deck is just bonkers. And then I was running a single Mega Blasters, which is kind of it didn't really get played much. I think I played it 3 times all weekend. One in Swiss and twice versus Ace during my top 16 match. But it's such a good card. Like it's just so good. It allows Snoke to finish games all by himself. Pretty standard event package, 2 Sinister Piece, 2 Counterintelligence, which was the MVP. 1 Desperate Measures, which was funny because I did not DM anything but a 1-drop all weekend. Never hit a vehicle. I never ran into a support deck. Never saw Fist. I could have run 0 and been just I could have been fine. I was trying to tell the Dice of Failure guys all weekend they should have ran their Fast Falcon, Han Biggs, because I don't think people were ready for that.
Interesting.
Yeah, because I went into 1 Desperate and didn't even need it, and there was not a lot of yellow villain. I mean, Voss, me. I mean, it was just Raylo.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And then
obviously Shadowcaster made it in. So
1 Entangle. I kind of
you dropped back off the second Entangle.
I went off the second Entangle
because that was a change Mike had made about 8 days before.
Yeah, right.
Was the second Entangle, so you dropped back. Okay.
And the big reason was people generally tended to focus on the Mud Trooper first, so I went to 2 Entangles. The minute I went to 2 Entangles, people started killing the Mando for some reason. So I was like, you know what? I'd rather not have 2 and get stuck with it. Plus, it's a 2 cost. It's really hard to play 2 costs. It just, I felt like if I got off 1 time, I won. Mm-hmm. Right. So in my game I played Vader. I want to say I played Vader twice. I think I played Vader and Maul. Right. I played Vader and Maul. The Vader matchup, Entangle was just a crusher. Like it was the same play where you hidden motive to get rid of 1 die, rolls it back in, hits a blank, and I entangle both of them, and it's just the round's over, right? So for that player, so Entangle was money. 2 Forsaken because you need to have Forsaken. 2 Hidden Motive, 2 Probe. The Truce and the Well Connected were to help pay for the Mud Troopers, but I think if I was going to, the Mega Blaster Troopers, I feel like if I was going to run 2 money cards, I probably needed to run. It's like I didn't commit to it. Like I think it was my problem.
It throws off your cost curve a little bit.
So my favorite card, which I'm a safer last in the whole deck, was Free for All. Andrew last minute. Like was that 2 nights before I left?
Yeah, it was like 2 days before.
So we were talking about what to do with this last card slot. I think it was the Entangle slot, if I remember right. I tried to remember what slot I was.
You had a couple cards in flux, but.
And you were like, hey, how about, because I had been killing Andrew for a couple weeks with just massive amounts of dice. Right, but the deck slows down a bit at the end, right? Because
especially if they go after Snoke,
right?
You lose focus on your conscripts and Fickles.
Right, everything's super slow. So he recommended that I do a copy of Free for All because it was like one of those cards where if it happens at the right time, it's a big surprise. And I'm a big Free for All fan because 5-die villain was my love, right? And I only played it once all weekend. But it was the most glorious play of all. It was the second best play I made all weekend, I think. And it was my opponent had Rey left. I was playing Raylo. She had 3 shields. She had 5 damage and 3 shields, $2, and I knew her list. I knew his list, right? Because we were playing in cut. So I knew he was running 2 copies of Arturo Strike. And so I roll out my damage, and I've got the dream. I mean, I had an amazing roll. It was like a D. I think she only had 3 damage on her because I had a DX showing a 2, a conscript showing a +2, and then another +2 on the board. So I basically had 6 damage, right? But it wasn't enough to kill Rey, and I just knew that he had Arturo Strike. I knew it in my heart of hearts. he's got to have an artillery strike, and if he does, he's gonna kill someone. So what I did is I played free for all on all the dice.
Meaning it was gonna, because you were worried about it going under the shields.
Under the shields, right? So I free for all.
I follow
all the dice except for the DX that was showing the black 2 side, and I hit him for 6, which dropped 3 shields, and then I sunk 3 in, and the look like, because that's a big play, because he had damage on, Ray had damage on the board ready to go, and it was more than I could remove, and I'm like, I need to get out of this artillery strike. So he ended up hitting me for 3.
So it wasn't even for the win, it was just
it was to save my skin.
It was to fight another day.
Yeah, so that worked out. Like, that was, and I thought of you the whole time. I'm like, because you told me when I put it in, you're like, I'm like, how often am I gonna play that? And he's like, well, you only gotta play it like once, and if it goes off at the right time, you're gonna be happy you had it. And I was thrilled to have it at that moment. So that was my favorite card. The favorite add-in was the free for all. And Henry killed me because he absolutely burned Snoke down. I don't think I could ever play this deck again in a competitive setting, because the entire world witnessed how to take it apart in one moment.
The problem is you have to be able to put that damage in fast, though. And which droids can do, right? And that's the...
Raylo can drop Snoke in the first part of round 2.
Ish, yeah. But like a Maul, like my Maul deck, I still wouldn't go for Snoke. Because you can't... You're spreading it around, right? You can't burn... I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. I don't know. I mean, I agree.
Because when
I think you have to do it fast.
He took out Snoke so fast, the game was over. The minute he dropped Snoke both games, there was 0 chance of my victory.
Well, there's an argument to be made that it was over when you guys sat down.
Right? Yeah.
It's going to be rough. But no, I mean, we're proud of you. You did a great job. So
appreciate it. That was definitely my best showing. Like I made a cut for the first time in a regional or higher, a couple like last month. So I said I wanted to have fun, but as a competitor, all I wanted to do was make cut. Like that's all I wanted to do. I wanted to make cut, and being able to play with there were some very gifted people, and then also do well, it made me feel even better. And people were very supportive. We have a lot of people that recognize me and ask about you and like, oh, where's the tell Andrew we want to come out next time. And we had a lot of support from the people that were there. So it made me feel really good that even when I died at the end, I had a lot of people that were still giving me high fives and big hugs. So it was a good time. I recommend going to your local Grand.
Yeah, that's so. The next thing I was going to ask about, actually, is there any? I mean, there was a lot of people down there. What was the shenanigans like? Were there any meetups, beers?
I don't think
you were with your family.
Yeah,
right?
I was with my family. I was probably the worst partier, but I did hear there was a lot of gambling, a lot of drinking. The weather was pristine in Vegas. Like I'm from that area, so when people are like, "Oh, I'm going to Vegas in January," I'm like, "Well, take a coat because it's cold and windy. Like it's sunny, but it's cold still. It's wintertime." It was not cold at all. It was 60. It was 67 the whole time and sunny, not a lick of wind. I mean, it was chilly at night, but other than that, it was just perfection. So when I first got there, I just kind of stared at that glowing ball in the sky for like 5 minutes, just like. Felt so good.
Well, the rain's here to keep you happy again.
Oh my god, I hate this rain.
You met up with I know Jay Shot was down there.
Yeah, I met with Josh and
Jay Danger.
No, he didn't go? Jay Danger. I think he was still dodging the police or something. But yeah, he couldn't make it. But there was still a lot of people that we know, and every time I go to one of these, I meet someone new who's like, "Oh, I watch your show," and I'm always like. Sweet, thanks, and it was cool. I had one guy who was like, he was all excited to meet me, and I was like excited to meet him, and he's like, and here's my son, and his son was like,
okay, boomer, right? Okay, boomer.
Who's this nerd, this old guy, like, but it was cool. I really enjoyed it, but it was super fun. I was actually surprised by the meta felt diverse to me. I mean, I did play a lot of Raylo, but I mean, there was a lot of different decks, but I think the game quickly was like, it was half the people and the other half of the people, like in Agent of Zion. Like that was like the good decks, and then the people that brought the janky stuff were down there. and it was pretty.
I think I've heard a lot of statements about that. It's interesting. I mean, we need to wrap this up and get out of here. But I've heard a lot of statements about how diverse the meta was. I don't know if I agree with that. I mean, yes, there's not the top 2 decks, but I mean, are we still back to like our mushroom statement, right? Like the decks at the top, maybe it is wide, but there's just such a gap below between. I think.
Did Yodaman do a? Did he do an article about diversity
he
today?
Did,
in the
it was either, I think it was actually Monday, but he did do a diversity. It's on I Rebel? No.
Yes.
Is it I Rebel?
I thought it's I Rebel. No, that's not true.
The other one.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm blanking right now.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
okay.
It's embarrassing.
So,
he's been around forever, and I can't remember.
right.
So, but yes, it's up there.
I mean, his math is like. I know you guys are like math buddies and math nerds together.
Yeah, we were going. I mean, I had asked a question on the article, and he answered it. He had done some card breakdowns, actually looking at like the most commonly played card, and he's like, Hidden Motive was in 88% of the decks, and I was like. And I know Yoda Man will eventually watch this, so like we can converse here, not conversing, right? I think you have to take out the non-blue decks, right? So like an Ewoks deck, not like a pure Ewoks Hoth Trooper deck, not playing Hidden Motive shouldn't count against someone not playing Hidden Motive.
Oh, I get you.
You know what I'm saying, right? So like, because I find it very hard to believe that. Like I would assume 100% of the decks.
Right. What you're saying is, if it
has
has the chance to run it and it doesn't run it, that's an impactful like statistical thing.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Whereas having someone who, so like basically he was saying, all right, so of the top 32 decks, let's say there should have been 64. There's 64 slot opportunities for a card.
Right.
How many of those slots did it fill? And I'm saying that it should be 64 minus X, where X is the invalid number of
which are non-blue decks.
Right.
Okay.
In that case, right. So and that because. You know, that looks, I mean, like, look at a Forsaken, right? Like, if half the field's droids, like, Forsaken doesn't look like a very commonly played card, but, like, it's in every villain blue deck, right? Sure. So, yeah, anyway.
When you talk like this...
Your eyes...
Yeah, and I'm if I hadn't met your wife, I wouldn't believe you kissed a girl when you talk like this. So, obviously you have.
All right. Anyway. So, yeah, anything else for LVO?
No, LVO is great. I have some shots to take though. Like, can we go like 5 more minutes and just start lobbing some bombs? Because I got some.
No, we are not going to lob some bombs. Mike's going to lob some bombs.
So
and I'm going to take notes for apology letters.
Yeah, no. So, somehow we don't.
Welcome to the new segment here on the Commando Cast called Lobbing Bombs.
Lobbing Bombs. Yes, we're going to take a little shots fired here. So, first off. How do we not have a freaking release date for CM?
I was ranting on that yesterday.
Like,
I honestly think, like, I know I'm interrupting you, and I'm
no, please. I want to hear your thoughts on it.
I am actually really upset. Like, I figured that. Well, let's take a step back, right? So there's a lot of people who were not right. Again, most of the vocal community were at LVO, so they were of course happy that Covert Missions was there. There's a lot of the other community that's unhappy that those people got access to Covert Missions. Well, not. I think it was a good idea for them to do it because it was originally kind of advertised that it would be there, so people bought tickets. So I think that was the right thing to do, was to get it there. The wrong thing to do is to have product in the wild without having a published release date. That is the wrong answer.
Because look at eBay right now. It's.
Well, I mean that's. If you need it, that's your problem.
That's irritating though. Like,
no, of course it is. But without a release date is what I'm saying. Like. If Bane was up for $80 and you knew that you could get him in 2 weeks, and you buy him, that's on you, bro. But like,
fair enough.
And to be fair, it probably will be like 2 weeks. Like we probably will get a set in like 2 to 3 weeks. But like, why is there no freaking release date?
These guys, I don't know. I can't like.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but like I saw so many posts. This is, again, from someone who wasn't there, but I saw so many posts from people who were like, oh, man, we're here with Matt Holland. He's the most amazing guy ever. And, like, that's great, but, like, and I get it. He can only do what he can do. Like, he has done a lot for us. He's gone out of his way to make things better, but, like, he's not freaking fixing things. Like, go back to your, like, I get it. He can only say what he can, and maybe he chooses to say that in a way that's somewhat misleading, whatever. But, like, go back to your boss and say, why do we not have a release date?
Right. Yeah, I can't even, like, even a range, like, hey, it's going to be out by the end of the month, or it's going to be out.
No information.
Yeah, zero, and it's the same. It's the same problem, and I equated it to. I equated it this weekend to. It's like when you get divorced, and your wife is a loser, right? That you're divorcing her because she doesn't ever do what she says she's going to do, and she doesn't take care of the things she's supposed to take care of. But you love her so much, you put up with it. But once you get separated, like once she has filed paperwork, like FFG has at this point, like then you can look back and like she misses her court dates. She doesn't fill out the paperwork, and you're like, what was I supposed to expect? It's the same people that have been doing the same crap.
I mean, that's a fair
for this long. And now, like before, I was disappointed in heart. Like a year ago, I was like, man, what does this mean for the future of our marriage? Right, me and FFG, and I was and now that the marriage is obviously over, I'm like, this. What was I thinking? Like this company is like this chick is she's the worst. Like I will never play another collectible game from this company, or an
then
LCG.
You're just gonna go date another redhead, and you're right. Back.
Right, I can't. Yeah, like a hairdresser named Candy. Right, that's the house. Yeah, you know me too well. So that was like my first shots fired. Is the release date? The other thing I need to talk about.
No apology needed for that.
Yeah. So I judged at Worlds. And it was one of the most fun things I have done in a long time. And I was completely nervous the whole time I was there. I know the game pretty well, but I am not, like, even amongst our play group, I am probably, like, the third most well-versed in the rules. Like in how card interactions work.
Who's above you?
Probably you and Eric. Halnor.
Yeah.
Like you guys seem to have a real grasp of the janky like stuff. Like I feel that way. Like,
I don't know. Halnor's he doesn't watch this, so we can do it.
Yeah, we can say whatever we want.
He's always trying to break it and then argue about it. Right? But yeah, that's
you get a good understanding.
It's a fair argument,
right?
It's a fair argument.
Like if I don't know a rule, if I don't know how a rule works, I ask Andrew. If I don't know how a rule works and Andrew's not there, I can ask Eric. So I'm pretty good, but I'm not the best even in my play group. So I went to Worlds. I was really unsure of myself, but it was a great opportunity to go. I mean, I thought I could be a good ambassador in the community, and I thought it would be super fun. And it turns out it was super fun. And I was really nervous about going, and the judging leadership was so good at this event. And I'm speaking about the Gandork, Nick Nilsson. Nick made me feel like I could do this. Like I could be there, I should be there, and I can do this. And he gave good advice. He gave good, clear instructions and rulings. And I guess I haven't been a part of enough games to know whether Nick is a good head judge or not. But he's a really good head judge of Destiny. Like he's like if you don't know, this is the guy. Like FFG doesn't know their own freaking game as well as he does. Like they don't make a ruling and tell Gandork what the ruling's going to be. If they design a card and it doesn't go right, they ask him to interpret what the mess that they made, and he tries to put it in the spirit of the rules. So I say all that because Nick was judging the LVO grant as he should, because he's a great judge and he did a fantastic job.
Well, and he organized the event.
And he helped organize the event with Artificery. So I had a chance to talk to him on the way out because I consider Nick my friend now. Like we work together, and and I told him, hey, thanks man for judging me as always. I appreciate it. And he was like, this is probably the last time I get a chance to do this. And I'm like, what do you mean? What about Worlds? This is like in May. And he informed me that he probably wasn't going to be, and this was at the time, he probably wasn't going to be judging Worlds.
He very shortly thereafter.
Yeah, very shortly.
Because that was the scandal this week.
Yeah, the next day. And the reasoning behind it. So, and I have a little extra insight into this because I was there at Worlds. Amongst these judges, several of them were probably not qualified to judge. Like, I may have been one of them, but there were several people who were not qualified to be judges. But because of proper leadership and good organization, they were put in a place where they could succeed and given clear instructions to succeed, which is a sign of a very good leader. So when I was at this event, the leadership was so good that I didn't even know this was a problem, because that's what good leaders do, is they insulate their people from the noise so that they can do a good job, right? So one of the people at FFG, one of the people in organized play went to Nick and said, hey, we need your judges to go out and actively judge against non-FFG promo cards. All art and promo cards.
Oh, okay.
Like to search tables, and if you see one, you're supposed to stop the game, tell the player to switch the card out, and hand out game losses, if so. Nick,
okay.
Right? Okay. Nick made the call, which Nick is what to do, and he's the head judge of the event, and he goes, I don't want my judges to have to worry about that. I want them to judge. And also, and this is not what he said, but this is what I interpreted, was I was having to hash out arguments between two players who were probably better than me. And a lot of that came through my ability to kind of relate to them and have them relate to me, and the fact they liked me and respected me enough to do it. If I had just gone by and told them to put away their Leia Bouche card because she's in a metal bikini, right, instead of her helmet, like the card, that could have ended up being a roadblock into my later on having to make a judge call. To be clear,
I see FFG's position as well, but that should probably happen at like a deck check, not in the middle of a game.
Sure.
Right. But your point is quite valid about undermining. Right?
And then Nick tells them, I tell you what, make an announcement pre-tournament.
Seems reasonable.
Letting everybody know, right? And then we probably won't even have to do anything, right? Because everyone will get the idea, you know? And they were like, we're not doing that. They basically, sounds to me like they try to big ball him. Like, you know, you're going to do what we said that you're going to do. And he's like, no.
Oh.
I'm not.
That's a little more background.
Right? So,
so it's just what's going on right now is just a dick swinging contest.
Right, and I was there. I could report on this because I was at Worlds. I was at the event. Like, I could tell you that was an amazing experience run by an amazing judge who had to have one person escorted out for abuse, who had to deal with several people getting disqualified for behavior, for people losing their dice, like crazy stuff, right? That he was dealing with, and he dealt with really well. So when I hear FFG, who has decided to move on or Nick has decided not to take a non-head judge position, I'm disgusted. Again, I don't know. I guess what was I going to expect? It was like I divorced a chick and I found out she's cheating on me. I'm like, what? I guess it kind of hurts. It kind of hurts, but at the same time,
sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. It kind of hurts, but at the same time, what was I to expect? So that was the other thing. I just want you to know, Nick, you've done a great job, and the community appreciates you. I appreciate you. You love me a long time. Every time, I just can't. I always tell people, like, FFG repeatedly steps over dollars to pick up dimes. Like, they just constantly make these errors that hinder their own prosperity. I've never seen a company that cannot stand the smell of their own success more than FFG. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So that's
shot fired number 3.
I don't know. I don't have any shots fired at people.
Yes, you do.
Oh yeah. So, and this is a minor thing. I'm just kidding with you, Matt. But so this is my World's invite for this year. Which
not ticket.
This is my.
You still have to pay for it.
I still have to pay for it. Yeah. So, by the way, yeah. So I have to pay for it. Which, whatever. I haven't money to pay for it. But anyway, so. This is my invite, right? And it's really cool. It's it's like a hard plastic acrylic card with Grievous on it. And on the back, you'll see that I was invited to the 2019 World Championship.
Congratulations!
Thank you.
Yeah,
I was there, but I was judging. So, and
you were invited to come.
Yeah, someone actually in my presence asked Nick about this, like, or not Nick, asked Matt Holland about this, like, why are these 2018? And the comment was made, well, it costs a lot to print these cards. Like, you have to, and the print runs are very, like, the minimum print runs is really big, and I'm sure, like, why would you print new cards for a dead game? I guess
a sticker on the back.
I think it's.
Oh no, it's a card. Fair enough.
But I was like, but he also.
But you know what else they could have done? Put a sticker on the back.
True that. And he goes, well, half the X-wing invites are 2019 as well, and I'm like, dude, that's your baby. Like, that's the love is so deep for X-Wing, and you can't even get those guys like actual invites. So I am proud of this, and that's a major quibble. But just again, it's like
they should.
It's pretty slick.
No, it's cool.
Yeah, no, it's super cool. Yeah, you don't get that. Look at that.
What's that? I assume it's in your name anyway. Why do you need a card as it is?
I don't know.
Don't we live in a virtual world?
Yeah, and I get emailed it like immediately, but
that's what I'm saying. So like, why don't they just make the argument? Well, for environmental reasons, we've decided not to print any more plastic ones, but we decided to give out the ones we have. Like that would be way more PC, right?
And they don't think that far ahead. Yeah, no doubt. If you guys are looking for someone to run your company for you, we are your men. We will handle it for you.
Run that company. I don't want to manage in that. I don't want, especially. No, it's not even that. I don't want to be middle. Could you imagine being middle management in that company?
Oh yeah, you probably get it from all ends. You're having to manage whiny players and like corporate overlords who have no respect for the game.
Yep.
Yeah, that's probably a really hard job. Yep. So yeah, that's all the. I don't have any. Like seriously, I have 0 shots to fire on people because everyone is fantastic. I do want to apologize to Forever Fett, Paul. I was 1-2 and I was down in the dumps. You fist bumped me at 4-0 and you lost out and I won out and I took your mojo and I'm really sorry about that. So on the 1% chance that you're cool enough to watch this, please accept my apology for stealing your mojo.
Fair enough.
That's all I got.
Okay, cool. So just some real quick bookkeeping stuff. So we have been given a really cool opportunity. I was contacted by Ignacio Gallardo from Chile. So they had their grand championship over the weekend in Santiago, Chile, and they recorded their games and they have sent those to us. So I am currently in the process. I'm through round 5 right now, and I have to do the top cuts, which are always a slog to go through. Right. But I have those. So starting Sunday, we will be putting up rounds 1, 2, and 3 of the Chilean Grand Championship. Monday will be rounds 4 and 5. And then Tuesday will be the top 4 and the championship cut.
How exciting is that to get an opportunity to share?
It was pretty awesome. I mean, obviously there were some logistical issues with sharing files of that size.
Right over, yeah.
So I appreciate the work. So I appreciate the work he did in going through probably the trial and error to actually get them to me. So that was a lot of work. Yeah. So thank you very much. And also, we're honored to have the opportunity to do this. Yeah, I was telling Amy last night, I'm actually having a lot of fun with it because I don't know the players.
Oh, right.
And I don't know what's happening. Like, I haven't pre-looked on any of these because I just want the surprise. Some of them, like, I didn't pre-watch them.
Oh, right? Interesting.
So, like, some of them I'm running through, I'm like, oh!
That's so funny.
So I'm having a lot of fun with it because that's what I decided to commit, because to get through it I was like, tell you what, I'm not going to watch an hour and a half and then go back. I'm just going to go through it and try to be
live. It's almost like live reactions to what's going on.
I tried to do it almost as if it was streamed. So anyway, rant over on that one, but that was pretty cool. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, it's interesting, the little small stuff. Like we do this channel, we do this cast, and you do a ton of work, and it's this all like there's very little, like we're not rolling in our Mercedes-Benz over this channel. So it's the little stuff that people do that kind of make me feel good about what we do. Like when someone was like, "Hey, I like what you guys do so much, and we like your commentary so much that, can we use you as a conduit to share what we did with the rest of the world?" Because
that was pretty awesome.
I mean, the Chilean meta, like, I mean, it is pretty. It's pretty isolated geographically as well as from the rest of the world.
Yeah, there's a big mountain range.
Yeah, big mountain range. They get like this much, right? So it's really interesting that someone would reach out from such a remote place from us, and then we get an opportunity to kind of share like probably some talented players. Like I'm betting when I watch these, I haven't seen any of them, so I'm really excited to check out. Like,
I'm not saying anything.
Okay, all right. So
not saying anything.
All right, cool. But I'm excited to watch them. I haven't seen any of them, so good.
Yeah. So. Yeah, that was fun. And then actually, so Mike actually leads me into my next topic. I'll actually have a kind of a separate video about this as well. But I am looking to get into, or we are looking to get into the live streaming game, especially from gameplay standpoint. In order to do that, I need to buy some hardware to convert what I currently have, because I don't want to just use a webcam. I want to use the camera that I have, which is really nice, and there's a piece of hardware you can use to make that a webcam.
Oh, okay.
Plus, I also, as you guys know, class is starting soon. I split last year. I had a real hard time because I had to get the games recorded, get them off, because I also record the classes that I teach, right? So I ran into memory card issues. So I want to make this easier with kind of what we have, I want to also purchase some additional memory cards. So because we recently started doing commercials on the channel over the summer, I hit that. I was like, okay, great, I'll be able to use the channel money. But honestly, I don't make much, right? I mean, it's embarrassingly low.
Like every 4 or 5 weeks, he's like, "Hey, beer time."
No, it's not, because you have to have $100 in the account to cash out, and I've only received one check at this point. So, and because there are certain things I could do to increase, like you can do commercials in the middle of your videos, but I refuse to do that because I don't want to do that in the middle of gameplay. Like, that stinks. So I refuse to do that. So instead, what I'm going to be doing is you get some of you who follow the Facebook page may have seen I've mocked up a bunch of different Dice Commando playmats. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be selling those playmats for a premium. You can get them from the company that I use. I think it's $31-ish shipped. So I'm going to be selling those for $40, and then the $9 for us. Or we'll just take the $9, which will then go back into getting that streaming equipment and some additional memory cards to help me out. And actually, do note that some of the memory cards I'm using are actually on loan from the budget that I have for my class, right? My class actually has like a budget, and those memory cards actually belong to the class.
Oh, I get you.
So and not Dice Commando. So, I mean, again, it's me that runs both of them, but, technically from a real standpoint, we're actually using stuff that belongs to the class. So,
well, I know there's probably plenty of people who would like to have a mat and want to support us. So I know there's going to be lots of people who want to do that, and I'm sure it will be. I'm looking forward to seeing those mats in the wild. I know you. We joked that Josh is the only
he's the only Dice Commando t-shirt in existence. So
please remember that there's a link in the description of this video that has the I think it's is it Teespring?
It is Teespring.
Yeah, so you can actually order if you want to help that way. Or order at Dice Commando the hoodie. I still don't have one. It makes me so mad. But there are t-shirts. Josh is rocking one. It looks good. Just do it. Get it, and all that little stuff. It helps us just get better. And I'm excited about the live stream. But that stuff costs money. It's not cheap.
Yeah. So one thing, because Mike and I, we usually sit down and we do a session. That's the thing I'm looking forward to most, is we usually sit down and just do a jam session with the one Mike deck that Mike builds, and then the 9 that I build. And then what I'd like to do is do a live stream where we can put up the deck list and let them choose what we slam into each other. I think that would be really fun.
Very cool.
So anyway, last item on this, you remember Pogs, those old Mill things, right? So ever since the Power Action tokens came out, I've been calling them Power Action Pogs.
Okay.
But I found a company that will actually let you print your own Pogs. So my desire would be to use the surplus.
You mean the butt tokens? Those about that size and with the
the plastic Power Action tokens we have. Okay. I've been calling them Power Action Pogs.
Sure.
So I found a company that will make OG Pogs, like the cardboard things from when we were in middle school.
Really?
So I want to do, if they're surplus, I want to use those to make Power Action tokens with specific characters on them, and then have Dice Commando on the back. But that's a pipe dream if we have leftover money. So anyway, so that will be coming soon. The Dice Commando garage sale, basically. So
fire crap, please.
Other than that, I think we've talked for more than long enough. Do you have anything else to add?
Go Commando.
Go Commando. In partnership with We Tabletop, the event directory for tabletop gamers.